7 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order. Any conflict arising from this agenda for anybody? No? Adoption of the agenda. We have two things in front of you that basically came in late. We can actually put it on if we want. It's up to the town council, or we leave it to the next 2 weeks down the road. I personally don't think there's any urgency on either one of them.
No, there's no urgency.
The one is the delegation tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's supposed to.
He's on the
I'm
agenda.
okay with presenting it also. There's one that.
Well, we're not going to make any decision then, because we need 2 weeks of background. That's all. Yeah. Okay.
So we're not going to go forward?
Well, let's do L&L Auto first.
What's that? Sorry.
L&L Auto.
Yeah,
Do you want it on the agenda, or a motion will have to be made to put it on the agenda and accept it? It comes up 2 weeks down the road. So it's not like we're throwing them away. It's just that we're going to start, there's got to be a cutoff point for stuff coming at the table. And we want eventually to be a week back on the cutoff. So if this meeting's a Tuesday, last Tuesday was the cutoff. But if we think there's urgency, I mean, it still gets looked at, it's just at the next meeting.
Madam Secretary, do we have a full agenda today? Do you think these will be taking much more time?
We haven't had any opportunity to research the one regarding the trees.
Okay.
I would like to provide with administrative opinion
Yep.
on it. A recommendation, I would also like to discuss it with Public Works Manager to see what we could do to bring down costs on that sort of thing. So there is additional administrative information I would like council to have, yes.
And perhaps you can research as well, see if this is a business request or a personal residential request.
It's residential.
But it's on business letterhead.
It's just home, yeah.
Okay.
And the other item does include some requests, but it is a delegation to council this evening. My guess is that, if you want to listen to him for the delegation, and then you could receive and file the information if you so choose.
And then it would come back up 2 weeks from now and discuss because there's costs involved.
This one was on the agenda from prior, the,
No, this paper just got, that's why it's not in the agenda. We just got it today.
oh, okay, but
Yeah.
that's not a part of the delegation though, right?
Well, he's going to speak testament to this.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll, sorry,
Go ahead.
you start.
No, you know better.
But you, no, not necessarily. I'll move that the L&L, that we postpone that to the next meeting, because as administration said that there is lots of
research, yeah.
research that needs to be done. The other one, I would say we could present that tonight, because we do have the delegation here.
As long as we're not making a decision on it.
Yeah, well, and I don't think
Yeah.
we'll have to.
We'll see. Okay. So we don't have to add that because it's part of the delegation?
Yep.
Okay. You made the motion, I need a seconder.
I'll second.
I guess we've discussed it.
Oh, yeah, right.
All in favor? Okay, adoption of minutes.
I'm sorry,
Not there yet.
so I thought that motion was whether we were adding the items or not?
No,
Yes.
you're not adding this item.
We're not adding,
The odds of the
this
tree.
one here.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
and
no.
so that was Andre and Sam,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
And then we still need a resolution then to adopt the agenda as,
Okay, yes. Yeah. Okay, motion to adopt the agenda as modified, I guess,
as amended? Yeah.
amended. Ray, Teresa. Any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, adoption of the minutes. A motion on the table. Ray. Seconder. Andre. Any discussion?
Just a question. When a vote is passed, if there's somebody that dissents from the vote, do you have to record that, or you just record as all carried?
It's just carried. The only time we do a recorded vote is if it's requested before you make the vote that you want a recorded vote.
Yeah, on your recorded votes, but on the other ones, it doesn't show like
No.
No,
everything? Okay.
no. It's either carried or defeated.
Okay.
All in favor? Carried. Okay. 8.1, garden boxes. Got a letter from Jean Hubert.
Are we skipping the delegation?
Oh, we are too. Okay. I guess Bob is up. 7.1, yeah.
Mayor Sepiak and members of council. As you know, one of the tenets of the Royal Canadian Legion is to promote remembrance. We are so grateful that the town has set aside Memorial Park for this purpose. We would respectfully ask that the Legion and the town form a partnership that would allow for ease of maintenance and improvement to Memorial Park. Some of the improvements we are proposing to implement over the next few years, but are not limited to: planting 2 blazed maples in honor of our 100th birthday of our World War II veterans, Ed Janis and Leo Bouvier; removal of the curved mound behind the cement pad; replacement of red shale around signage; removal of the birch tree in the center of the cement pad as it has sustained injury to its root system; filling in the void by the removal of the birch tree with concrete to complete a parade square for remembrance ceremonies. This would require placement of a valve box to allow access to the underground sprinkler system. There's one sprinkler head that was removed. Creation of a garden of remembrance, flower bed with perennials specifically chosen for remembrance. Capping the exposed aggregate that is currently in place to extend its lifespan. Placement of an all-weather picnic table inside the pergola and anchoring to the concrete. Repairing the mortar on the cenotaph. Replacement of corrected plaque in honor of our fallen. These improvements and changes will be made as funds allow. Some, like the cenotaph repairs, will be costly and will depend on receiving grants from Veteran Affairs Canada. As you can see, we have some lofty goals that will rejuvenate this green space and make it more inviting for all residents and visitors to Gravelbourg. We are hoping that this agreement will allow us to make these improvements without needing to approach council each time. Our proposal is that current plan and future improvements and redevelopment of Memorial Park be the sole prerogative of the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 173 Gravelbourg. Regular maintenance of the lawn, including mowing and watering, should remain part of the town's beautification program, as we do not have a large mower, nor do we have a place to store one if we did. Nothing in the foregoing shall be construed to mean that the Royal Canadian Legion is responsible for existing infrastructure, upgrades, and or repairs. In other words, the town Public Works Department will continue with the watering and grass cutting, as well as maintenance of the sprinkler system as they do now. But the Legion would assume responsibility for any other upkeep to be done. If any repairs to municipal or provincial infrastructure on the property, SAS Power, SAS Energy, water, sewer, we would ask that this remain the responsibility of Public Works crew as it is now. We hope that you will consider our proposal as agreeable and that we can formalize this agreement and sign partnership to carry us forward. Thank you.
Any questions?
What is the agreement now? Like, what form of agreement?
There is no agreement. We have no agreement with the town.
It's a town park.
Is it town?
It's a town park. It's a park.
Okay, so it's a park, the Legion doesn't at this point have anything to do with it?
There's a cenotaph.
Yeah. Okay, so the Legion is saying, we step forward and we'd love to be able to maintain it as our space?
Yeah,
Okay.
because we have access to provincial and federal money, and we get some, the federal government put 14 million forward this year, and the provincial for 1.5 that we have access to.
So with this is doing a lot of the improvements, like you said, to the concrete, to the cenotaph and everything, but as far as the regular sort of seasonal maintenance is the town still continuing.
Yeah, the
That's the
infrastructure, the
infrastructure.
sprinkler system, the mowing of the grass, watering. And
So-
I have no problem hauling a tank of water to water to keep it nice and green.
So
And as
like,
far as the mound,
yeah,
nothing grows on that mound anyways, not even the grass.
so is that something that the Legion is taking responsibility to remove that and then
We would.
replace that?
We remove it.
So the grant money coming in, if the town crew did half that work, did they get paid, or that has to go to the contractor, doesn't it? Like grant money, when it comes in? Like who's gonna plant the trees, who's gonna move the mountain?
We would,
Oh, okay. Like-
we would have to the concrete, and
Okay,
fill in the center with the concrete.
so where does the grant money come in now?
Pardon?
Where does the grant money come in?
The
They're
grass,
suggesting that they can get grants to
the town would
get
still
the trees.
mow the grass and
Okay, yeah.
all that, but we wouldn't be putting anything in place what they would have to move or.
Mhm. I just have one question of Dustin. Does that water line still work going into that park?
As far as I know, it does.
Yeah, I thought that was one that was not working properly.
I'm,
So it would have to be tested.
yeah. We water it with the truck.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so that's more or less something to come back for dollars and cents, if somebody can figure something out.
Well, for the town maintenance, it would be the dollars and cents, and if I understand correctly, is all this repair work, the Legion is doing that, so that's where the grant would come in,
Yes.
is for the.
Our grant money and our fundraising would pay for the recapping of the exposed aggregate because it is crumbling.
And then filling and putting the
We
trees.
put over 5,000 into the park last year with the concrete and the pergola,
Okay.
and we've got a all-weather metal powder-coated picnic table coming to underneath the pergola.
So the only costs would be to the town, is just our regular maintenance costs?
Just
of
your
what we're
regular
doing?
maintenance. And if the town had valve box,
Of what?
plastic
To get-
valve box,
Oh, yeah, too, for,
To access the spring.
so you could access that one water line that would be in the concrete.
okay.
So we have to draw some type of a contract between this then?
We'll bring that up at the next meeting.
Oh, okay.
Put an agreement together that we can,
Yeah.
yeah.
One more question?
Nope, we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we'll get to 8.1. Letter from Jean Hubert about the boxes, the green boxes out near the villa. Yes. I guess we should put a motion on the table. Motion to put this on the table, and a seconder. We have to get the discussion.
I'll second.
Andre seconder. Okay, now we can discuss it.
I have a couple of questions. How much of what was planted last year was used?
probably over 80% of what actually ripened was picked, and I don't know if it was sold at the farmer's market, but, or where it was, but it wasn't there anymore.
Okay.
I just wondered, you know, just, and the town would continue to fill the water tank?
Whatever he's asking for, I thought that we should give it to a group like the KGB and his green group. Would be nice to get them together and let, you know.
I'm on the KGB, and as far as I know, I'm the only member. I have no idea who else is supposed to be on that committee.
So you can agree to it?
No, I assumed the previous CIO would put my name out to whoever the members are to say, you know, if you're gonna have a meeting or whatever, here's Teresa. I've never heard anything.
I don't know who's all on KGB.
Does it still exist?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
what is, Toes is on
I
there?
think Toes is-
Wasn't Mitch Lorraine on there too? At one time?
And Marie?
Marie?
that was more the Bloom thing, wasn't it?
Oh. It might be, the difference between.
Dustin?
At our last meeting, it was myself, Toes, and Maria, as well as Shani Boudreau, I believe is how you say her name. She was at the meeting. I'm not sure if she was nominated to the committee or not, but
When
yeah.
was the meeting?
When was it?
Yeah, when was the last meeting?
About September.
Okay, so that would have been before my time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would make sense that there haven't been much through the winter time, but,
Okay,
Can we
so
motion,
KGB.
can we motion that we bring this back to administration to contact KGB and see if they are capable of handling such a project?
I guess we can do whatever we want.
So with that, we'll be turning the boxes over to them and. they'll
Yeah,
take
well,
care of
somebody
it.
has to take care of it, so let's start with them.
I guess
Well,
there's
my
some
motion is
mistakes,
right.
solve it, so the town would probably go and dig them out.
Yeah, Town can take care of it, and but they can maintain, manage it.
unless they choose to let the Green Initiative do it, which the Green Initiative is saying, yeah, we'll do it. Is that not correct? Is that the way, that's the way I was reading it?
But we don't even know who Green Initiative is.
Well, that's Paul Bear was one.
Yeah, they've got a committee, a group of individuals that meet
Well,
to look at initiatives like
did you,
this.
Carol, did you know my motion there, please?
To have been contact the KGB to see if they're interested and capable of taking on. Maybe we should, you know, if I could suggest in partnership with the Green
Right.
Group.
And have them contact the Green Group and work together.
Okay, so that's an amended motion.
That would be my motion.
Amended, yeah. Done discussion?
You need a second.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All amended.
Any discussion?
You have that second.
Yep.
I think it's-
No more discussion? All in favor? Lot 2 is Communities in Bloom. Motion to get it on the table. Teresa, seconder Andre. Discussion. Is this something the KGB should be picking up on? Because I think they did before.
I just wondered who worked with them before, so if that's it, same motion.
I'm gonna say the KGB was Susie, Ed, and Toes. Quite a long time.
No, I think there's a new group now.
Yeah.
There was a new group that started last year. Yeah.
My understanding is nothing has been, we have not participated with Communities in Bloom for a number of years.
That's what my records indicate as well.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Yes.
And unless, quite frankly, unless we change the water pricing policies in this town, you'll never get this town moving.
You know, that was my thought as well.
Yeah, but unless we change the pricing system, forget it. There's no point getting into a contest here where people are afraid to use water. So, unless we change the water policy, I think something like this should be tabled until next year and see what happens.
I want to hand this over to KGB to see if it can get
I
started.
I would say is hand it over to them and let them decide.
That's right.
No, as long as there's an opportunity, why would we?
Because there could be some, people who wants to be part of this and it's not dependent on the price of water. They can
Oh,
haul the
it's
water in.
all, this town is brown, all we need.
Well, there's more than one initiative here though,
Yes.
and more than one potential. There's xeriscaping and all kinds of different things that don't necessarily require water. I do think it would be appropriate to allow the KGB group to evaluate it, and maybe they evaluate this one along with the planter boxes with the green initiatives. And together they discuss it and see if that's something they want to join forces on again.
Yeah, there's many different things that can be done without necessarily where it involves a lot of water.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
some of the things is to show how we can have things beautiful with minimal water use.
But I think also it would be nice to go forward with the group knowing what our budget is and when do we
Yeah.
think that we'll have some information on the water.
Well, we have a meeting on the 29th.
Okay. So by then we may have enough information for the KGB group as well. So
Well, in community-
might be able to, put a positive spin on it for them.
Okay, so now we need a motion to get on the table to talk about it, so. we have
They want to bring this to the KGB committee?
Yeah.
Well, isn't
I
there
think so.
also a communities in bloom committee in Gravelbourg? So it's just KGB?
The KGB, I think, supervised it or looked
Yeah.
after.
Yeah, they basically took it over. Yeah. So the motion is we bring it to the KGB.
We need a second.
I'll second that.
Andre? All in favor? Carried. Okay, general information, stars, 9.1. I'm just gonna make a motion to receive and file.
Second.
Teresa seconder. Discussion. I made the motion, she
Yeah,
seconded.
I was just in favor.
What wants to discuss it? Yeah.
Well, it's just a file, there's nothing with that letter.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing.
All in favor?
Nice letter.
Nothing up in the air.
All right. Okay. Moose Jaw Welcome Center. More for information. I'll make a motion to receive and file. Seconder Paul. And any discussion on it?
Do we have like a bulletin board or information center or something that newcomers in our town would have access to know that these people exist? Like when we moved to Gravelbourg, I had no idea.
Would this be something the website should be taken up on?
I don't know, I mean, it's one thing to have it and file it, but I mean, ultimately, I think you'd like to know that we're promoting them or giving people access to their group.
I did post a copy of the poster they had on our town bulletin board in
Okay.
the office. Unfortunately, and I'm going to use the newbie card here, I'm not sure if there's other places where I could post this sort of thing, so that newcomers are aware. That's something I need to learn.
Yeah. And that's a really good point, Carol. Maybe we need some sort of a system or policy or something that whenever we have something that is of general information like this, where do we put it?
And the website, as I started, we can certainly start setting up some links too, because I've been looking at that to other groups. And when they go to our website, then they see links to other groups.
Yep.
That's good. All in favor? Carried. Okay, 9.3, Old Wise Watershed. I'll make a motion to receive and file. Seconder, Ray. Discussion.
I wasn't aware that Camden was in this
So I just wonder which one of these would we benefit from? Like, I'm just looking at the titles and wondering who, like, big control for invasive weeds is one of them. I mean, who,
Well, to some extent, it would be our community, but a lot of it has to do with the farmers. And like that weed control one, it'd be interesting for us, but I imagine a lot of it would be the rule.
I was wondering how much the RM is involved with the watershed.
They're involved, but Darcy and I have gone to some of their meetings, and the RMs are, they have delegates fairly involved there.
Because that was not what the RM was the blocker. They were against the watershed.
You're on our watershed committee,
I started that.
but, and you're still on the committee for us,
Oh,
no?
what was the town now?
Yep.
yeah, we've always had somebody on that committee.
Pardon?
We've always had someone on that committee
Yeah.
from the
Council,
council.
Yeah.
council.
Yes.
So, any changes?
No, I defer any decisions to our representative.
They didn't even call me for a meeting on it.
Maybe that's another one that you're on the committee and don't, nobody knows.
So far, it's just a topic right now.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do
All in favor for receive and file?
Yeah.
Carried. Okay, 10.1, Public Works minutes. I'll make a motion to receive and file. And the seconder, Teresa. Discussion.
The sandboxes, which sandboxes are you referring to? Is that the playground?
Is that what you were talking about, sunglasses?
No, that's.
Garden boxes.
For sidewalks. We were thinking of putting sandboxes along sidewalks, to throw on sand when it was icy. Well, we couldn't do it in the winter because everything's frozen up, so we have to come up with some sort of a plan somehow this summer where we can have something ready. I'm not sure what, but what we were talking about.
Okay.
All in favor? Carried. All right, 10.2, function report from the museum. Put a motion on the table to receive and file. Seconder, Sam. Just any discussion on it? All in favor? SRC meeting, March the 9th. 10.3. Motion to receive and file by me. Seconder. Ray. Any discussion on it? There's some good stuff in there.
There's some very good stuff in
Yes.
there, but I think you should make them aware that grants cannot be considered revenue. They seem to think in their presentation here that what happens to the grants and why isn't it considered. Grants really aren't considered revenue in any shape. They're not a revenue nor a loss or anything, because what will happen, for instance, if the rink, and I mean in the past we've had to replace all the insulation in there. We've had to spend like $200,000. The money that we get, we have to match. So you have to tell the committee that general revenue ends up having to match that grant to go into it. So we can't consider that as income for recreation. It's just the grant.
But then what about the expense?
Yeah, well, the expense comes to the town, exactly.
Okay, yeah, but some expense shows up at the.
Because we have to match the grant.
But if we had a grant, so if, to me, that there's a big expense coming up. So
Right.
we're gonna show the rink spending X amount of dollars, large amount for the manifold.
Yeah.
And we got a grant for it, so one has to offset the other somehow. So it doesn't make the books look bad.
Well, I know, but, you know,
Like,
that money
Yeah.
that we put in there,
yeah.
we would take that from general revenue. Do we consider that actually an expense then, of recreation?
Well, somewhere along the line, you got operation, and then you've got capital, and capital is for your project. It's got a balance. You gotta have income and expense.
So then
If you just take the expense, what happens to the income?
Okay, so what'll amount then, so when the grant comes in, it's 50 cents dollar, then it's neutral. 'Cause you would say that they would be getting a grant for, say,
No.
50,000 in the town.
Whatever the grant is, say it's $50,000,
Yeah.
it's gotta be written down that went towards that job.
Right,
We can't put it into our general revenue and cut it somewhere else.
well, I know.
That grant has to go there.
It goes for that particular project, I know, they're targeted for a project.
Yeah,
So, but then, does that department then claim that that's revenue? And then we have to offset that revenue, so neutralize it itself? How do we,
I don't get
how
what
we
you're
do
doing.
that? How would
It's
administration
simple.
do that?
There's a cost and of expense, and there's a grant.
What I
Just
think
make sure.
I'd like to suggest to do, just listening to the committee, is that when we do the budget, that's a question.
Yeah.
That's a question. If we get a grant, how do we present that in the budget? Rather than, we're not making sense to people listening to us tonight. So what I'd suggest is when we do the budget, let's try to answer that question so we can explain that, okay? And that's all we can do tonight. But that's a question that we had, that we weren't able to
It's a
answer.
good question, yeah.
Well,
That's
the
a good
gas,
question.
the gas tax that we get, is that considered a revenue coming in? And then we apply expenses to it?
Yes, but we don't generally have a gas tax grant line for every department,
Right.
No.
okay? So the gas tax comes in. And like myself, and as far as the town goes, when we look at the financials, we look at all the departments and we look at the bottom line. So those grants are taken into account, but when you're just looking at separate departments, you're not necessarily going to see that. Now, if it's a grant that's applied specifically for recreation, and it's on its own, you know, some sort of a provincial grant, we can have that line show up in a custom report that we produce so that the committee can see it. But all we're doing is pulling that account number and making it show up on a report. In the end, we look at the town as a whole, and all of those revenues, grants, everything is taken into account, and you see your bottom line as a town as a whole.